Imagine this, a helicopter that doesn't just mimic America's legendary Black Hawk. It's built to thrive where the Black Hawk would choke and fail high above 20,000 feet in the oxygen-starved air of the Tibetan Plateau, turning China's backyard into an impenetrable fortress. But here's the shock. This isn't some reverse-engineered knockoff. It's a homegrown beast powered by secrets stolen from decades of forbidden tech trades, now armed to the teeth and ready to tip the scales in Asia's powder keg. What if I told you this shadowy flyer, the Z-20, has already been spotted launching torpedoes from aircraft carriers and slinging missiles over frozen borders, yet the world barely knows its full lethal potential? How did a nation once begging for U.S. hand-me-downs birth a rotorcraft that could outlift, outclimb, and outgun its rivals in the next big conflict? Stick with me for the next 10 minutes, and I'll uncover the Z-20's explosive origins, its battlefield triumphs in the shadows, the tech that makes it a nightmare for U.S. planners, and why it's not just China's ace. It's a wake-up call for global powers. You won't see the skies the same way again. Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell right now. Let's dive in. Picture the 1980s. Cold War tensions thawing just enough for the U.S. to sell China 24 shiny Sikorsky S-70 C-2 helicopters, civilian cousins of the UH-60 Black Hawk that would become icons in Desert Storm. These birds were a game-changer for the People's Liberation Army, PLA, hauling troops over rugged mountains and delivering aid in disasters. But here's where the timeline twists. In 1989, the Tiananmen Square crackdown slammed the door shut. Arms embargoes from the US and Europe dried up spare parts, leaving China's fleet rusting on the tarmac. No more Black Hawks, no more mercy from the West. Fast forward to the early 2000s. China's military brass stares at a glaring hole. Their aging Z-8 helicopters, clunky Soviet knockoffs, couldn't hack the high-altitude ops needed to secure the Tibetan frontier against India or project power over the South China Sea. The PLA Air Force had been dreaming of a 10-ton helicopter project since the 80s, but bureaucracy stalled it. Then, boom, May 12, 2008. The Sichuan earthquake hits, killing nearly 90,000 and burying entire villages under landslides. Rescue efforts exposed the brutal truth. Without reliable medium lift choppers, China was helpless in its own backyard. Bodies piled up while outdated rotors sputtered in thin air. That catastrophe lit the fuse. By 2006, the Harbin Aircraft Industry Group, CHAG, greenlit the Z-20 program, pouring billions into a machine that wouldn't just fill the gap, it would leapfrog the West. This wasn't about copying, it was survival. China needed a utility beast for transport, search and rescue, and assault, adaptable to army mud, naval waves, and those godforsaken plateaus where engines gasp for breath. Engineers pored over reverse-engineered S-7s, blending them with homegrown wizardry. The result? A rotorcraft born from embargo-fueled rage and earthquake-forged urgency, ready to rewrite the rules of aerial dominance. But could they pull it off without Uncle Sam's blueprints? Development kicked into overdrive post-2008, with wind tunnels howling and prototypes shrouded in secrecy. By December 23, 2013, exactly 10 years after the Black Hawk's own first flight, a matte black Z-20 prototype thundered into the sky over Harbin's frozen fields. No fanfare, just raw power from two indigenous WZ-10 turboshaft engines, each pumping out 1,600 to 2,000 kilowatts, like twin hearts of a dragon unburdened by foreign fuel lines. Why the rush? Geopolitics. As U.S. carriers prowled the Taiwan Strait, China needed a chopper that could sling 4,000 kilograms of external cargo or 15 troops into hot zones without begging for GE engines. The Z-20's fly-by-wire controls, China's first, made it dance like a fighter jet, ditching clunky hydraulics for digital precision. And that 5-bladed main rotor? A 16-meter whirlwind of composite magic, slicing thinner air at altitudes the Black Hawk dreams of. Engineers even baked in de-icing tech for rotor blades, turning blizzards into playgrounds. But the real genius, stealth in the shadows. Development stayed classified until October 1st, 2019, China's 70th National Day Parade in Beijing. There it was, 8 Z-20s in formation, rotors thumping like war drums over Tiananmen Square. The crowd gasped. Analysts worldwide scrambled. This wasn't a debut, it was a declaration. From concept to combat ready in just 6 years. That's Chinese efficiency on steroids, fueled by a $1 billion plus R&D blitz. Yet whispers persisted. Was it truly original or a copy hawk with Beijing flair? The skies would soon tell. The Z-20 hasn't spilled blood in open war yet. But don't let that fool you. It's been baptized in the fires of proxy skirmishes and high-stakes drills that feel all too real. Debut ops hit in 2020 along the line of actual control, LAC, with India. Those brutal Himalayan clashes where 20 Indian soldiers died in hand-to-hand brawls at 15,000 feet. Z-20 shadowed the front, ferrying elite troops and intel gear through fog-choked valleys, their high-altitude prowess turning Galwan into a Chinese edge. No confirmed kills, but reports leaked of armed variants test-firing rockets over disputed peaks, and not-so-subtle flex. Then Taiwan simulations. In 2022, PLA exercises, Z-20 swarms practiced island-hopping assaults, airlifting Marines onto mock beaches while dodging US F-35s. And don't forget the naval angle, Z-20Fs, Navy Blue Beasts, launched from the Liaoning carrier in 2021, hunting submarines in the East China Sea with dipping sonar and torpedoes. These aren't games, they're rehearsals for the big one. Humanitarian gigs? Absolutely. Z-20s hauled quake survivors in Yunnan 2022, proving they're not just killers, but saviors. In a flashpoint world, this chopper's logged thousands of shadowy hours, from border stares with India to carrier cat and mouse with Uncle Sam. The wars, they're coming. And the Z-20's primed. So what makes the Z-20 a 5-bladed terror? Start with the bones. At 20 meters long and 5.3 meters tall, it's Black Hawk-sized but punchier, cruising at 290 kilometers per hour with a 560 kilometer combat range, climbing 7.1 meters per second to 6,000 meter ceilings. Those WZ-10 engines, domestic dynamos shrugging off sanctions and delivering 20% more lift in hot-high hellscapes like Tibet, where Black Hawks wheeze below 4,500 meters. Tech stack, fly-by-wire for evasive jinx that'd make a drone jealous. defensive suite, radar warners, missile detectors, and 360-degree chaff flare pods, popping decoys like confetti in a dogfight. Variants explode the versatility. Z-20T assault birds with wing stubs packing HJ-10 missiles and rocket pods. Z-20S rescuers with FLIR night vision and hoists. Z-20F subhunters with bubble windows for spotting periscopes. And the Z-21, a tandem cockpit gunship spied in 2024, toting 23mm cannons and millimeter W radar, Black Hawk's evil twin on steroids. Payload, 1,500 kilograms inside, 4,000 kilograms slung below. Endurance, 4+ hours, with Beidou sat-nav for pinpoint strikes. In short, it's the Swiss Army knife of the skies. Tough, adaptable, and engineered to win where others quit. No machine's invincible, and the Z-20's got scars. First, inexperience. Zero combat vets mean untested metal. Black Hawks have 40 years of Iraq Afghan tweaks. Z-20's green as PLA recruits. Engines. WZ-10S are solid but lag. GET-700S in reliability. Early prototypes guzzled fuel and overheated in extremes per leaked tests. Electronics. Fly-by-wires cutting edge. But Chinese chips trail US in jamming resistance. A cyberpulse could ground a fleet. Size-wise, it's no heavy. Max 10 tons limits it against behemoths like the CH-47 Chinook for megalifts. And stealth. Decent with angular joints, but not F-35 level. IR signatures scream target to heat seekers. Sanctions bite too. Rare earth magnets and composites rely on global chains, vulnerable to blockades. It's a contender, not a conqueror, yet. Today, over 100 Z-20 swarms PLA arsenals, Army transports in Xinjiang, Navy hunters off Taiwan, even PAP riot squads. Zhuhai Air Show 2024 unveiled upgrades, stealth tweaks, AI autopilots, and export teases to belt and road buddies. Future. Z-21 swarms could swarm drone U.S. carriers by 2030. This isn't just a chopper, it's China's aerial manifest destiny. Whew, that's the Z-20. From embargo ashes to plateau predator. What shocked you most? The high-altitude hack or the sub-hunting fangs? Drop it in the comments like if your team's Z-20 over Black Hawk and subscribe for the next bombshell.